Tyler, my brother. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Chris?
Man, I'm even better now speaking to you, brother.
Dude, you light the light on everybody, man. I appreciate your energy so much.
Yo, so first and foremost, man, I just have to ask because last time we spoke, we are blessed enough to do your podcast. But actually, I'm kind of getting excited here. Before doing that, let me just introduce you to my audience. For people who don't know, Tyler is a
Oh,
phenomenal real estate investor. He has a very famous and like a popular podcast with some amazing guests, and the man is an avid reader. As you guys are seeing behind him, look at all those books, and we're gonna talk about it very soon as well on that end. And on your end, for the people that don't know me from your community, my name is Christopher Dedeyan. I'm a professional speaker and a peak performance business and life coach. So, my brother, like I said, last time we spoke, you were getting ready to go Florida for your birthday. So, once again, happy kind of belated birthday at this point, once again. But how was
thank
that
you.
trip? How did you enjoy it? How was the whole thing in Florida?
I tell you what, man, it was good. It's so funny because I feel like the past 2 months have just been like a whirlwind, and it was good to have like a couple of days to just kind of take a step back, take a breather. But I'm blessed and grateful. I mean, like you, I mean, we got a lot of exciting things going on, and I really get uplifted by just expanding and contributing and giving and growing, and that's what I'm all about, man. So you know what? I every day is a gift, and I'm grateful to be here with you, my friend.
I love that. I love that, bro. And this is why, like, from the moment that we met, and God bless that Trevor kind of connected us, you're speaking
Yeah.
exactly the same language as me. And let me ask you, because you did say your life is giving and contributing and growing. What is one of the ways, or like the main way we could actually say that you give back? Like, what is that way? Is there something like in your philanthropy work? Or is it your business? Is it both? How do you do that?
So my philosophy is abundance, period. If I were to just put one word on my philosophy, it's abundance. And like this morning, as an example, I took a coffee meeting with an individual who I hadn't met before, who's looking to grow in the capacity, perhaps in similar footsteps that I've taken in my career. And I'm always happy to contribute. I'm always happy to share ideas. I'm always happy to sit down and have conversations with people to help them grow and think and realize their potential, because to me that's what it's all about. It's all about expanding. It's all about living at your fullest potential and expanding beyond that, perhaps, and even maybe even surprising yourself. So I would say that's kind of the foundation, but also like that's what I do in my work, as a high performance real estate investor, as a high performance business coach for real estate investors, but also from a philanthropy perspective. Like our company CF Capital, we donate 10% of all of our profits
Let's
to
go.
a place called Centers for Courageous Kids. And what that is it's basically a summer camp for children who have chronic illnesses or terminal illnesses to go and just have fun and just be themselves. Because, one of the things that is basically the foundation of, I know your and my life is that we can do what we do because we have our health. And if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. One of the things that I found to be so fascinating was, a man, I don't know who said this. I think it may have been Steve Jobs, but he said a man with his health has, 10,000 dreams, but a man without his health has one dream, and that is to be healthy. And so,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we feel compelled to give back to. And, children, we've all been children, right, at one point in time. And so how can we just have fun and live and grow and enjoy life? And to give that to someone else is very inspiring. So those are just a few ways, my friend.
I love that. I love that so much, man. Tyler, congratulations with all of your success, and congratulations that 10% of your company's salary goes to philanthropy, where it goes to these kids. And that's something that I am just so avid and I coach upon and I teach upon. I'm like, listen, whoever you are, wherever you are in life, you can give. Legit, you can give. It really doesn't matter. Is it writing a check, giving time, mentoring? And you have to have that ideology from the beginning. You should not be thinking,
Yeah.
oh, once I make X amount of money, then I'll give. Oh, I have no, brother. It's when you don't have that you give that you're actually going to be able to give when you have a lot more, because that
So
ideology
true.
is created throughout the process. So I love that you have that, and congrats with that, Tyler. And tell me about like your investing side, because I do know like I have actually a lot of people in my community as well, real estate, as I was a broker, and I know that you're from the States and you do a lot of the investing over there. How did you get into it? How many doors you have? What would you suggest to anybody that's kind of starting off? So I asked you three questions there, but I'm sure you're definitely very versed to answer them. So go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got started in the business as a broker myself. Well, actually, technically as an agent. And of course, I grew in a commercial real estate agent capacity and started investing on the side because, I learned that I could trade my time and my thought process for resources, or I could also put my resources to work. And I was blessed to be able to build a substantial business as an agent and then a broker. And I was able to put that money to work and really put my money where my mouth was because I was selling this product, right? I was selling multifamily real estate as well as other commercial properties, but I found multifamily very compelling. And so I started investing in income producing multifamily apartments. And, it was a beautiful thing because first of all, I learned and I grew and I became a different and a new version of myself along that process because it was extremely challenging. There's a lot to learn. When Robert Kiyosaki told us all to, buy real estate, he didn't say all the things that could go wrong with it, right? And so you almost have to learn that and learn and pay the tuition of that as you grow. And that's what I had to do. And so as I continued to grow, I would, buy larger properties and scale a little bit larger, as well as learned about, the power of syndication, the power of leveraging other people's resources, and giving them the ability of investing alongside of us because of that word that I said earlier, abundance, right? More opportunity equals better for everyone. And so that's what I love about multifamily real estate. And so now, we invest in my region. So I'm located in Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky, and we invest in Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, Ohio, and we're going to continue to expand in the Southeast United States in terms of where demographics are going, where migration patterns are going. So we focus on jobs, we focus on population growth, and what we do is we invest in 100 to 300 unit properties. And so like currently right now we're buying a 250 unit property in Indiana, and typically it's people who invest with us are people that we have relationships with, either accredited or sophisticated investors, folks that want to be involved in real estate, but don't have the time or they don't want to deal with the headaches, right? Real estate can be very management intensive. And so we give people the opportunity of passively participating with us. And so we are involved in over 500 units now. And, we're trying to be as smart as possible. We don't try to buy any deal just to buy a deal. We want to buy good deals. And so we're going to be smart in terms of our continued trajectory. But I would anticipate substantial growth here over the next few years, and we're excited about that.
I love that. I love that. And just to kind of clarify for some of my audience that maybe doesn't know what syndication is, essentially syndication, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, is that you're buying a property, like you said, with X amount of doors. So let's say, imagine 100 doors. And then that property, you have the potential chance that anybody that's an outside investor to buy a percentage, just like a company, right? So they're buying X amount of percentage of that whole property deal. They own that, and then it's syndicated, and then they get the cuts of whatever percentage they own on the revenue and expenses and so on and so forth. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So you own direct, ownership in the property. So it's not like owning a REIT where it's really just a stock. You actually own a percentage, and actually you're a limited partner in a property. And so you actually receive direct, we actually pay monthly cash flow to investors for their participation. They also participate in that upside. And so, a lot of folks will get started in real estate by either investing in single family homes, maybe they'll invest in duplexes or fourplexes, and there's nothing wrong with that strategy. We just find that this can be another opportunity for folks to participate in real estate with people who are professionals and people who really put an amazing team on the field. We call it on the field. But the reason why that's important is because it's a team sport. And so through this team, people get the opportunity of accessing the opportunities that we access, which we believe are better than sort of your lay person or someone who, has heard about real estate on the late night TV show, because we're professionals and this is the world that we live in every day. So we provide that opportunity and everyone wins. It's an amazing thing.
I love that. I love that. And as you were saying that, see, like the syndication world is kind of making me think of something that LeBron James said, which essentially is like, hey, you always have to remember what is the first thing. The first thing has to come first. He's like, for me, it's basketball. He's like, even though I make more money off of the court, I have to understand that it's because I am doing what I'm doing on the court that I have those Nike deals, those movie deals, and so on. So remember what is your first thing and what is your lane. And why I'm saying that is because, like, for me, like I said, I have a good understanding of real estate. I've been in that background, but my thing is coaching and speaking. So I make my money in that, but I will invest with like people like you that are experts in real estate, and that's an upside of a syndication, because like you said, you're trusting in these professionals and you get to do what you're doing instead of trying to figure out by yourself and doing left, right, and center. If you're going to go into that, do it as a full-time. That's my personal opinion, but yeah, I do love that ideology, Taylor, that on that end. And let's jump into to the other side that I wanted to kind of talk about, which is your podcast, which is highly successful, your Elevate community. Like, I was like really like checking it out. And obviously, like I said, I was blessed to be guested on your show, and I saw so many amazing people we had on the show, from Seth Godin, from Stephen Cutler, which is somebody I love as well, John Asseroff, and just the list really goes on and on. Tell me, what is like the main thing that you have learned from these people? Is there like one or two takeaways that are like something that really was an aha for you? Because I know you're going to mention a lot of things that are like very intertwined with personal development, and you're very eloquent and you have a lot of knowledge in that. But there's a couple of things that these top end people have said during the interviews. They're like, oh, wow, I've never heard of that, or they approach it in a different way.
Okay, yes, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, it's really, really simple. And this blew my mind, continues to blow my mind. Human beings, every single one of us, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's anybody watching this, or whether it's anyone else who's not watching this, we were designed to go big. We were designed to go big. I'm telling you right now, that blew my mind. And it aligns with my soul. It aligns with who I am. It aligns really with the true essence of human beings, which is an amazing thing. And what I've learned is that, in any moment, and you know this better than anybody, Chris, we are either expanding or contracting, and we're making decisions based on either, we're fearing, we're retreating from something, or we're being courageous and we're moving towards our outcomes and towards things that we are inspired by and living a life that we can be proud of. And so to me, that is the underlying factor. That's one of the most important things that I've learned. But my goodness, I've learned so much from these amazing people. And first of all, it's just been an incredible blessing to be able to share time with people like yourself, in addition to all the people that you just shared. I was sitting down with Dave Asprey, and I asked him, what would you tell your younger self about biohacking? And having the opportunity to talk with someone like that about his perspective and his transformation. Ultimately, what Elevate's all about is about transformation. It's about mindset. It's about mind expansion. It's about personal growth. And, we really do speak to high-performing real estate investors, but I'll give you a little secret. It relates to many, many people beyond that. And I will tell you that it is absolutely inspiring to know that all these people that we admire so much and that we really put on a pedestal for many different reasons, they're very similar to us, and we have the ability of being as amazing as they are and contributing at a high level just like they do. And it's based on really our habits. It's based on really our day-to-day routines. It's based on the information that we're putting into our mind and how we're contributing to other people. So to me, it is incredibly inspiring, but really the basis of it is, hey, we're designed to go big, my friend.
That was delicious on delicious, bro. 10 points for Gryffindor right there. You freaking did it right. You did it right. I mean, let me just highlight a couple of things so people really can like hone into what you said. First and foremost, we are made to go big. I love that. And I'm very happy that you said that, to be quite honest, because a lot of people aim low and unfortunately they hit it. And I would rather, this is like a famous like quote in some way, to aim as high as possible and not make it, but be closer to that high than aiming low and hitting it. So there's always that ideology and this like quantum universe field of like, hey, it's so much more powerful than we think. So don't be afraid to go big. Don't be afraid to as big. Just put in the work, do it. And you did say one thing as well on the aspect of like the neuroscience behind it, understanding how that works, understanding that it's all a question of that synergy, that mindset, and very important is the habits and rituals, like you mentioned. It's understanding that. And furthermore, one last thing over here is that once we're looking at these people that we're inspired, that we just mentioned and so on and so forth, they're just like anybody else. They're human beings. You're just comparing their step 75 maybe to your step 17. It doesn't mean you're not going to get there. You just have a couple of years ahead of you or X amount of years ahead of you. You have to understand that these people went through exactly the same journey as you. This is not a get-rich scheme. This is a process of you getting better as an individual to then attract all the abundance and everything that you want within your world. So Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. You're exciting me with everything. You're firing me up with all that. And brother, tell me, because I do know you read a lot. Tell me first of all, how much do you read? You read like a book a week, if I'm not mistaken, right? If not more than that.
I do, yeah. Read a book a week. So you and I, like, you're the first person, like, in my age range that I know that reads like that too. So tell me about how nerdy are we, man? What do you think?
So I mean, nerdy. So yeah, I definitely love that, and I'll definitely geek out on the nerdy aspect. But man, I mean, for me, it's such an important thing to read, like such we
Yeah.
spoke about. And let me ask you, what are some of the books? Because I know you could do a major list, and please go off. What are some of the books that impacted you in like a visceral level? Like when I'm talking about
Mm.
visceral, like after reading that book, you're like, yo, uh, I'd never thought of this like this, or change your perception, or so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, there's a few that really come to mind. And actually, by the way, let me just say this before I answer that question because I think that books have the power, excuse me, of transforming who you are each and every time you read a book. Like
Hmm.
changing the way you think to me is more powerful than getting a quick tactic of, hey, I'm going to apply this. And by the way, that's an added benefit, of course. But changing the way you think is one of the reasons why I love books and also training my brain and allowing me to be present with you so that I can listen and be thoughtful. And contribute to a very high level conversation. I mean, it's training, but it's also changing the way that I think, and it's really implanting ideas and seeds that changes my life every single time. So let me just say that, a couple of the books that I think have been, extremely powerful for me, and one, like, I'll just mention one real quick that changed me from a visceral level. It's actually called The Power of Habit by Charles Dewig. And
Hmm.
it's one of those books. It's so interesting because I had this book, it was sitting on my bookshelf, and I knew that I had two or three habits that I needed to kick. I wanted to get rid of. And so I put the book off for a long time because subconsciously I was like, I'll do that at some point. But it was like my habits were so strong that they didn't want me to change. And so when I read that book, I started to understand how powerful habits are and that we're driven 40 to 80% of our daily actions are driven by habit. And so to me, that's like the operating system to our identity. And so for me, that is a total game changer. And it was an opportunity for me to transform my results through small actions and getting conscious and bringing the subconscious to the conscious. And so having that power and understanding that you don't have to be the default mechanism of your environment. In fact, you can actually dictate your future by your choices and recognizing that some things are not our choices, but we can turn them into our choices and we can bring back control is an amazing thing. And so to me, that is a really powerful one. I have to say that there was a book written 2000 plus years ago by Marcus Aurelius called Meditations. And
Let's
oh
go.
my goodness, I mean, that one is as relevant today, maybe more relevant today than it even was 2000 years ago. So if you're a leader, if you're someone who understands that, you know what, we have life is challenging, right? Life is not easy. It's not always, butterflies and rainbows. In fact, we have challenges, especially if you're going to try to play big, if you're going to try to go big as we were designed to do, you are going to run into
Hmm.
heartache. You're going to run into disappointment. You're going to run into crazy challenges. But is it a test so that you can become the highest version of yourself? And so reading from an individual like Marcus Aurelius, a person who led the Roman Empire in some of the most turbulent times in human history, and learning that his challenges, and you would think of someone like that and you'd say, this person has it all figured out, he's got it all. But he had internal turmoil that he was dealing with, and just the timeless wisdom is incredible. And you can apply this to your life immediately. And so those are just a couple of them. My goodness, I could go on forever.
I mean, I you touched upon two that I love. And first of all, in the beginning, when you did mention the ideology of reading, especially like, we read a book a week, we don't remember everything. It's
No.
it's like almost impossible, but it really doesn't matter. Just like you said, Tyler, like so eloquently, it's the aspect of that you're reading and your mindset is shifting. It's the aspect that you're allowing to self to have these connections with these people, just like you mentioned, Marcus Aurelius. How would it be physically possible, even if it's somebody alive, which obviously is not, we're talking about like thousands of years ago, where would you have access to politicians, leaders, war veterans, freaking like a philanthropist in this way? It just doesn't exist. And when you look at Marcus Aurelius, like you said, man, I'm a huge fan of like Stoic philosophy, and it's just humbling, Taylor, like to watch him, how he was authentic and how he was humbled. Honestly, he could have been the most cocky person ever. He ruled like the most powerful like empire back in that day, and to see how he approached it just puts us, when we're reading it, such in a small place of like, oh, wait a minute, bro, okay, chill, wait a minute, if this dude's doing like this, how can you
Yeah.
deal with this? If he's dealing with that, how can you deal with that? And I love that. It's definitely one of my top books as well. It's something that I reread. And as you were saying that, I just want to know, have you ever read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl?
I
All
have.
right, cool.
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. It's in the same.
Okay.
It's in the same line.
So it's 100%. And you think about challenges, and I mean, you want to put challenges in perspective, have an understanding of what happened during the Holocaust, right? You want to put challenges in perspective, consider the challenges that many people are going through in today's world, you know? Let's have some heart and some, ability to give and to be empathetic towards other people who are having challenges, but also recognize that we can overcome any challenge as long as we have purpose and as long
Yes.
as our challenge gives us purpose even further to expand through that. And I mean, what an amazing, amazing book.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. You're 100% right, and that's essentially the story of like Man's Search for Meaning. Essentially, the guy had went through the Holocaust, and the only way that he was able to go through it is that he's like, hey, I wrote a book, and it was writing a book, and he's like, I have to go through this because I have to finalize this book. And fortunately enough, he did it because it was the book that we're just mentioning, and the story is just humbling. And like you said, when you read it, you're like, wow. Like even though everybody has problems, even though we're going through this, even though right now what we're going through. And when you read that, like, what do I have to really to complain about? We're blessed, right? Even though whatever we're going
Yeah.
through. So it just puts you in a position of gratitude. And it correlates it very well to another book that I know that you love, the Start With Why by Simon Sinek, right? You have to have
So
that
good.
very deep of why, of like, hey, what's your purpose? And then once you do, you're kind of able to guide that towards that. And brother, listen, I don't want to take much more of your time. Like I know you're a busy guy and all. Like we could legit talk about all of this until tomorrow morning, as you know. I just want to ask you one last question over here. Man, what can I do to support you more? Is there anything that I could do to support you? Is there anything that I could promote or anything on that end?
No, man, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to join you here. First of all, Friday flow. How good does that feel? Like, are you kidding me? That's a visceral experience in itself. Let me just tell you that. And so, the only thing that I would say is, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to have curious, mind expanding conversations. So
Yes.
for me, this is an opportunity. Like, it's so cool what you just said about, I know that you love this book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And you think about the lattice work that you've developed by pouring into yourself and giving yourself the opportunity to be curious and to learn and to draw connections between distant ideas or draw innovative thinking between other things. To me, that's one of the most, if not the most exciting thing in life, is to explore that with other people. So to me, I think please keep doing what you're doing, my man, and keep being excited, man. I just really appreciate your positive energy. I appreciate everything that you do to give to other people and to show up with fun energy because, man, you know what? Life is too short to take ourselves too seriously. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say, my friend. But if anybody is watching this and they're enjoying this, come check out Elevate. We'd love to have the opportunity. You're going to see Chris very, very soon. I think he's coming out like next week or the week after. I mean,
Let's go.
insane conversation. So definitely you want to come check out Christopher on that one. But otherwise, go check out Elevate Podcasts and have some fun. I just want to invite everybody who's watching this right now, have some fun and grow to the level of your potential because if you thought it was big, let's multiply that. Let's go
Mhm.
bigger and let's have fun through that process. What do you think, Chris?
I love that. I love that call to action. First and foremost, everything that he mentioned will be linked up. His podcast, Tyler, you can go check him out. If you guys are watching on Instagram, it'll be there on either live or replay. So thank you for all the people that were there. You guys were good. Some great comments. Furthermore, if you're watching it on the replay on YouTube, don't hesitate to comment. Whatever question you guys have, we'll go back and answer it. And Tyler, brother, man, just keep on doing your phenomenal work. I love everything that you're doing. Like, we're so in sync. It's crazy. Everything you were dropping and saying, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I could talk about it until tomorrow morning, but I'm like, I'm trying to keep it somewhat in a reasonable time frame. But we'll definitely do this again, and we'll have a moment to kind of chat it out. And if there's anything that I could support you with, like I said, brother, you know that I'm here for you. All right.
Thank you so much, my man. We're brothers, man, forever. So I appreciate you so much, Chris.
All right, man. Have a great one. Speak to you
All right.
soon.